Hey everyone, welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast. This is episode 8. We are recording this on February 25th, 2021. I am your man, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime, and I have my man all the way in Texas, Milton Manuel, Zack himself. What's going on, Zack? How are you this evening?
I'm chilling, man. The weather's kind of back to being typical Texas weather down here. You know, it looks like we're getting closer to the spring. The sun's coming out, man. It's nice. I'm good. Weather's been great.
Must be nice for you. I did see that there's an article that I sent you guys about the turtles and how they were frozen and how they had to have like 5,000 turtles saved, which is, you know, great for human rights and the WWE. So, really, or I should say WWF, right? Because that's what it is, World Wildlife Federation.
Oh God, I was thinking World Wrestling Federation.
Because I was thinking WWE. WWE is what it is now, but
yeah. I was like, what does that have to do with wrestling and turtles? So confused.
That's so great. So yeah, we're starting off this with talking about turtles and WWE.
And not Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're going to turn into Ninja Turtles if they get frozen and some ooze drops on them. But anyway, shout out to everyone who's following us, supporting us. If you're listening to us on any of the type of podcast platforms, of course, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcast, and Anchor FM. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes and leave us a comment. And of course, you can always find us on our Instagram at the Comic-Con Podcast, or email us any articles or voicemails or questions to the Comic-Con Podcast at gmail.com. This week, we have tons of stuff to talk about. We have our community section, of course. Then we are going to be talking about, of course, movies and TV. Tons of stuff this week that dropped between the Marvel and DC route. Do have some nice little articles in our comic book section. And we always round out the evening talking about what are we currently reading. So let's get right into the community. If you guys, basically this past weekend, there was a comic book exclusive that dropped this weekend, and every weekend there's always a variant cover that's dropping on some exclusive website, Comic Mint, Frankie's Comics, Black Flag, you name it, KRS Comics. The biggest one, the hardest one to get, the one with the most backlash and frustration, was coming back from Comic Book Exclusive on the Star Wars High Republic #3. And if you listen to last week's episode, I told you I was going to be trying to get it that past week.
Yeah, and pimping me out to try to get it for you.
I tried pimping this guy out to try to get it, and I said I would pay any price to get it. Once I saw what they were going for, I was absolutely not paying that price, but I did start best offering some things. So we're going to get into this. The Star Wars High Republic #3 variant exclusive from CBE. It is a cover swipe of Heir to the Empire #1. It was originally supposed to be dropping on Saturday. I want to say at like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah.
There was so many issues that they ended up having to stop it. And then they ended up doing not one, but 2 separate days of pre-orders. They were selling, initially, they were going to be selling 400 sets of a trade dress and a virgin. So at 10 o'clock Eastern time, on Saturday night, they were doing 200, and then at 3 o'clock the next day, they were doing another 200. So,
and they had 600 total, though, right? And like 200 were set aside for friends and family as well.
Correct.
Right? Yeah,
and they had more.
Real limited.
They have more, but they shred the rest. They rip off the front cover. They actually send you that issue without the cover, so you don't even know what it was. But there was so much drama in the community with this. You know, both myself and Zack, we pretty much were following a lot of the comments.
Oh my God, it was dumpster fire, and it was kind of hilarious too, and like heartbreaking at the same time. It was, dude, I couldn't like peel myself away from the comment section of those posts.
Yeah, so we have been following this for the past week. You know, shout out to the guys at CBE who really kept it under control for the most part. You know, the owner and all the support that they've been getting. You know, obviously there's a lot of people out in the community that are upset that they couldn't even get on the website, myself included. Zack, what about you? You couldn't get on the website, right?
Yeah, I tried a couple times. I think I tried initially when they had the first setback, and then they announced, hey, we're doing the 200 one night, the 200 the next day. I don't think I tried that first time at the night. The next day I did. I mean, I was on the ball like right away. And they did remember they also set a password as well to kind of help at that point. Which I was kind of complaining about that too, because look, like you said, and no dig on the CBE guys, they're great. And I think they just didn't realize that this was going to be like this, and they got overwhelmed and tried to find the best solutions possible. But the password thing, which I found very frustrating, was they're like, hey, at 2 p.m. my time or whatever, they're like, we'll post the password in the most recent post, and then you put the password in and it'll get you in the website. So boom, 2:00 comes, there's the post, it's the password's right there. But on the text, like the description of the post, it said it's cap sensitive. So, but I didn't look at that. I didn't read that. I saw the post and I was like, type it in as fast as possible. Boom, 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 boom. So there were some issues, some minor little things.
So I didn't even know if I got in. Like I couldn't get in. Maybe that was the reason why I couldn't get in.
Yeah.
As soon as it dropped, because I was capital C, lowercase b, lowercase e, and then 2021.
Yeah.
So it was an absolute shit show. Let's call it what it was. It was just terrible from everybody. Everybody who's upset. I'm upset that I didn't get one. I was lucky enough to win one on the first cover. But, this is just crazy. And this is really going out to people who are listening who may be thinking about doing exclusives that get hot. Another company that did 2 issues prior to this with not only Star Wars High Republic, but also the HaHa book was Wanted Comics. And they had such an issue with people trying to get on their website that they ended up having to, same thing. They had to stop it for a little bit, and then they ended up going back maybe an hour later. I was able to get, I think it was Star Wars High Republic. Can't remember if it was issue 2 or number 3, but they also list them on their eBay page right at the same time. They're like $5 or $10 more, but you know what? I can go in.
And you're guaranteed. Yeah.
It's quick and over and it's done. I guess there's a lot more, so you can buy multiple copies from them. That's the only difference. But I know with the HaHa book, they didn't do it right. Initially, they were dropping them in separate posts, so they would do 6 at a time. So you couldn't buy multiple times.
Gotcha.
I think that's the thing with all these exclusives with these short print runs. It's kind of like it's a catch-22. You're making it a premium exclusive, which I get, but then you're also eliminating all these other people who want this book. And it was such a hot book. I mean, here's my thing. I'm a variant guy,
I have so much to say on this too.
I'm a variant guy. I love the Star Wars thing. I love the cover swipe. It is definitely something that we needed more of compared to all these other variants that are coming out for every one of these issues. I mean, issue 1, 2, and 3 had great variants from Comic Mint, Frankie's, everybody. There's so many, but I cannot believe that as great as this variant was, they're only doing 600 and giving 200 away for giveaways and all these other things and friends and family. So it really is very tough for the community to not be upset with CBE. And now you're seeing them be at least anywhere between 500 to people are asking $1,000 or best offer.
I'm looking right now on eBay, and it looks like the average best offer is $850 to $800 best offer. That's kind of where it's sitting.
Crazy.
There's a 651 is probably the lowest I see right now.
That's insane. I mean, I was best offering people $50 less of 500 or 550, and they were coming back to me at $25 more. I'm like, no way. Come on.
I best offered some dude, just to be a dick, I had best offered him $80, the asking price for it. I was like, fuck that.
And then it was and then the worst was they have, they did the 2-person limit this time instead of I guess the last time it didn't sell out so quickly. So it was all right, well, you can order as many as you want. This time it was 2 per household. And everybody that you see listing them online says that they have 2 available. So it's you knew you were pre-ordering 2 because it was simple enough. Who's really pre-ordering 1 unless you have another $80 to throw in there? But again, I'm a variant guy. Zach is going to completely take the opposite side of this, and I want to hear your side.
So here's my thing. So I'm not a variant. Let me preface that by saying I'm not into the variants by any means. Now, that doesn't mean I don't respect them, and I don't think there's cool covers, but art's never really been my thing. I'm more of a story guy. A cool cover is a cool cover, but I genuinely don't really care. But this is it blows my mind. I don't understand this issue. It's cool, I guess, but I don't understand the hype on it. This is not worth this value. If you are paying $500 for this book, I honestly think you're a fucking idiot. This is it's a cover swipe of one of the most uninteresting covers of all time anyways. The Heir to the Empire issue is not a cool cover in general. The cover swipe here it's decent. It's what's her name? I always forget. Screeve.
No, it's well, Mara Jade first appearance is on there.
No. In High Republic 3, the girl, the Jedi on the front.
Oh, Kiev.
Yeah.
Trennis, yes.
So she's on the cover. She's got her lightsaber, up and going, and there's some like monster in the background. I mean, it's cool, but it's not like, I don't understand what's going on with this book, dude. Like, but yeah, and so what's the issue here? I mean, I don't have the solution. So I definitely want to preface this by saying I'm not trying to bash CBE by any means. I don't think they understood what this was going to be like either. And we're overwhelmed. And, I honestly felt bad for them. And like you said, they handled it well, and they definitely handled it better than I would have, because there were some asshole comments in those posts that I would have fucking fired back on. But what's the solution? I mean, were they getting hit with bots? What was the problem here? Do you know?
I think just everybody, you're only limiting it to 400 copies, or really 200 copies on day one, 200 copies on the next day. There's more than like 200 people that liked maybe one of the posts. So now it's like it's a nation, it's a national thing or international thing, and everybody from all corners of the earth are trying to pre-order this book. I mean, I was seeing some comments like, I'm up at like 3:00 in the morning. So these people are like overseas, and they woke up or stayed up just for this. And now it's like, I mean, you can only sell 400 copies at $80 a piece. I mean, they made, you look at it, they made $32,000 just on that. And that doesn't include, what, I don't know what they paid the artist for, how many copies that they had to buy. So I don't really know what their return on investment is. But even if you up that to 1,000 copies, you knew this book was going to sell out just from the cover. Right. Being a Star Wars fan, the book was going to sell out. Definitely being a great cover swipe, because they have not done a cover swipe for like a Star Wars book like this in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and you saw in a lot of the comments, a lot of the people were upset about, because they're real fans. Like, a lot of these people didn't want the book, or at least I don't know about a lot of them, but I saw a lot of people posting comments like, "Hey, look, man, I just want this book because I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not trying to flip it. I'm not trying to sell it." And it's definitely frustrating. Like I said, I'm on eBay right now scrolling, and I see all these posts up, and it says confirmed order, confirmed pre-order. Like, so these people purchased this book for $80 and are just turning around and flipping it for an absurd amount. Like, honestly, people do not pay this money. Like, this is the problem. Like, you guys actually pay for this shit, which drives these prices up and makes it like acceptable. Don't pay for these. Wait like 3 months. This guy who's asking for $850 is going to lower that price.
But now here's the thing: click into his page and see what else he's selling. Okay, they're not even comic books, right? I think I saw one guy, he's selling like shoes and like,
there was like Jordans, right? Like, like knockoff Jordans or some shit.
They weren't even there. He had like, one guy had like guy or girl, had like 8 items. Yeah, some of them were like shoes. Go ahead. What do you got? This
dude's got Funko Pops. Okay, and he does have a Star Wars Shadows of Vader's Castle issue, but Funko Pops. So let's look at some other ones. Keep going. I'll look at some.
There's definitely some other ones I remember seeing that were just like insane. There was no way that these people are Star Wars fans. They just want it. They want to flip it real quick. It was just crazy. I saw some people that are like, they had they sell like accessories for anything, and I don't even think it was anything related to Star Wars. So, the one guy who's got one up, he's got it up for 9,000. Or 9,000, I should say, 900. His other things are, he's selling a LED light. He's selling a Champion sweatshirt, a couple shoes, a Galaxy watch, and other sneakers. There's no other comic book stuff on what he's selling. He's got one Funko Pop, and he's got these Journeyman gloves. Like, for real, like, this guy's not into the Star Wars. He just heard about it, probably wanted to get it and wants to flip it. He's not selling any other type of comics.
So here's one. Okay, so this guy's selling. This is so random. So he's got the Star Wars High Republic. He does have a Mandalorian Din Djarin action figure. He's also, in case anyone's wondering, selling the Ariana Grande Position signed CD, sealed, new in hand. So if you're a big Ariana Grande fan, Pokemon cards, Taylor Swift limited edition deluxe CD, a Lava Chomp vinyl figure. I don't know, dude. It's just Baby Alive, Baby Grows Up, some Adidas sneakers, Kid Cudi album. Oh, DEF CON flannel shirt. I don't know, bro. And mason jars.
Yeah. So, guys, that's what it is.
What is this shit, dude?
That's what, at the end of the day, everyone has their thing. They either want to buy it or they don't want to buy it. But again, this is a big community thing right now for the past week that's been going on. You know, we absolutely like CBE. We're definitely not trashing them. They said that if they decide to do another variant, they're definitely going to look into different things. I think a higher print run is the way to go. You end up making more money. I'm sure they already have to shell out a lot of money again for the artist and the amount of copies that they're getting and even destroying. But you know what you have to do at the end of the day? If you say, here's 1,000 print run, you need to put in your description of buying the book that you cannot guarantee grades. That's what I believe the issue was, because of the last one had a terrible print run. So I think they shorted it even less because they saw that they had to go back to the printers and be like, we need more copies of this. Or, they ended up destroying a lot of copies to get new copies. So that's really what it is. A lot of these places online, they say we cannot guarantee 9.8s. We guarantee like 9.0 or 9.2 or better, basically.
Yeah. So what do you think? Let's talk solutions. Let's talk about ways they could possibly do it better. And some of the suggestions I saw, which I don't know how the hell this would work, but some people were saying like a lottery system. What were some of the other ones? Obviously, everyone was saying you need a better website to do that.
Yeah, that was better
easier
website,
said than done.
And not even in a nice way. It was like a better website, and you need to do this like ASAP. There was words that are thrown out there that we're not even going to get into.
Yeah, it was rough. I got the vibe that for sure if they do another one, it's not going to be anytime soon. Like these guys were stressed, man. I felt bad for them.
Yeah. So again, this is the community right now that's going on. That was the issue for the past week, but we really want to move on to bigger and better things. So again, comic book exclusive, they did a great job with the first two variants. They're absolutely gorgeous. It's unfortunate that there was so much drama over the past weekend from Saturday and Sunday into, this week. They are giving them away on certain YouTube channels as giveaways. They're doing them in their comments on social media, and I'm sure they're going to be giving a lot more away. Solutions, again, we don't know. We're not CBE. It is what it is. So let's kind of move on to the movie and TV section of the Comic-Con podcast. First up, a really great show that is coming back for season 3, DC Titans. Was previously, first 2 seasons were on the DC Universe app. This season is going to be on HBO Max. Today, we just saw the reveal for Blackfire's suit for the Titans. Now, I am not a huge Blackfire fan. I really only know her from the comic books and a little bit of like Teen Titans Go. But I got to say, man, that this suit is on fire, quote unquote, Blackfire. Really nice to look at, because if you guys have seen what they revealed for season 3's Starfire, this thing is going to be amazing. I cannot wait for this to come out on HBO Max. What do you think about this? I'm sure you saw the reveal, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, I couldn't remember. I want to go back and watch season 2 again, because it's, I watched it when it first came out and I can't remember. But did we actually, did we see Blackfire in season 2? I know she was like spoken about and whatnot, but I can't remember if we actually like saw her. Do you remember?
She does appear in this season,
like a hologram or something, or no? At the end, yeah,
she appears as a hologram, but then I believe she's on Earth because she kills one of the servants, or one of the people that are part of the royal family that is in Starfire's.
That's right.
Planet.
So no, it looks good. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if I'm like floored about it and blown away about it. It looks kind of it reminds me of the costumes from like the CW a little bit. I don't know. I'm looking at it now and I'm doubting it a little bit now.
Well, I think compared to the Starfire, I think they're both very comic book accurate.
Right. That's
Starfire
true.
was a little bit more sexier in the New 52, but obviously you really don't want to do that. But I think these, costumes, the same company that did not only the Red Hood costume was also doing, of course, the Starfire and Blackfire. I think they're doing a great job of bringing these characters right off the page and into the DC Titans world that is HBO Max now. So really excited to see her in season 3 whenever that does come. So
yeah, it'll be nice, like, because right now the show is kind of weird, especially in the first season, because really the only person in costume ever was Dick Grayson, and everyone else was just kind of like like Beast Boy is wearing, the zip up, Raven's just dressed like a goth, and then Starfire's dressed like a prostitute. So
yeah, in that first season. And even in the second season, she's more just a character. She doesn't have a costume.
Right. And in the second season, we got more, obviously we had Jason Todd's Robin outfit, and we had the Aqualad stuff, but it's cool to see more like these costumes coming in, because it just looked weird with like Dick Grayson running around in his costume with like 3 regular citizens, like,
or you had Hawk and Dove too.
Hawk and Dove
were great looking characters too, man.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. I love this show. I think it's done really well. I just wish I hope they move away from Raven. I don't like Raven being like a focal point here.
I think
her character kind of sucks.
I think they kind of just did that because of season 1, and now season 2 was really all about Dick. And I think this season will be all about like Starfire. So you're getting all these characters, and they're really building each season around. It's not like a continuation into like the first 2 seasons were all about like Starfire, or all the first 2 seasons were all about Dick. I mean, you had Dick's build up from that's so terrible. I just said that. But you had Robin / Nightwing become who he needs to be.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over to something else, because
enough Dick talk.
Yeah, enough Dick jokes for the evening. So of course, we have WandaVision coming down to 2 more episodes. We have the Falcon and Winter Soldier starting in March, but we just got this week the reveal for Loki starting June 11th on Disney Plus. What are you expecting, and what are you hoping for on this show?
This is the show that honestly I'm the most like, I don't know, like I don't know what to think on this, because Loki's character, Tom Hiddleston's amazing. Okay. I mean, that enough good things can't be said about his portrayal of Loki. You know what I mean? But like, I kind of felt like this seems like a stretch, like bringing him back. Honestly, it was like, oh, he's such a great character, and obviously he's a fan favorite. And so like, we got to bring him back. And sometimes I don't like when they do that. He did have a good death. You could have just left him gone at that point. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this Loki television show, and we don't know too much about it. Obviously, we know like it's got some time variance authority is going to be in there and some issues with that. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this. I didn't feel like we needed a Loki show, I guess.
You also realize that the Loki now is Loki from Avengers 1. So Loki from, Thor Dark World, Thor Ragnarok, and even, Infinity War, right? That was the first one.
Right. Yeah. Like the good stuff he learned is gone. Yeah.
So he's going to be obviously evil. What characters are going to show up? Obviously, a lot of people are saying, oh, the kid Loki is going to show up. The she Loki is going to show up. There's tons of things that are going to happen. I think I agree with you a little bit that they really don't need to bring these characters back, even though he will always be Loki, even 50 years down the road. I don't even know who will ever play Loki again, but I think that, Tom Hiddleston, and he said he would do it. So at the end of the day, he's happy doing the character, playing the character, but I can't see the show. I don't know where it's going to lead. Like, we all know WandaVision is leading into the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Is Loki going to be forced into some other next phase of movies? Like, is it going to be into Eternals? Like, are we going to see that because that's coming out in June, and now we're getting the Eternals movie at the end of the year, or Shang-Chi? Like, are we going to see some type of roll into that?
Well, so they've announced it's 6 episodes, and they already have a second season announced for Loki as well. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's just going to be in his own little Disney Plus TV show, but I don't want to see, like, I don't need every Thor movie to revolve around the relationship between Loki and Thor. Like, that's the same shit they did with like the X-Men movies. I felt like every single movie revolved around the relationship between Magneto and Xavier. Like, we get it, man. We get it. There's connection there, but Thor and Loki are great characters on their own. They need to have interactions with other characters, and sometimes you get bogged down because you have this character like Loki in a Thor movie. And you're like, okay, now we got to write a storyline that makes sense for this character because we got to put him in there. But you don't, man. Like, you killed him, let him go away. Like, now let Thor operate on his own and interact with other characters. Sometimes it can be too much, man. Like, you don't have to have these guys in every single movie, so we'll see. I mean, like we always say, hey man, the more TV shows, the better. So like, I'm not upset about this show by any means. I'm excited. You know, and Owen Wilson's going to be in it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a lot of stuff in that. And sticking with the Marvel news, we did also again this week we have a new official title for Spider-Man 3. So this week the three main characters or three kids from Spider-Man, they were teasing on their Instagrams and social media that they each threw out a different name for the Spider-Man movie, which obviously all three of them just weren't the actual title until officially they dropped the teaser trailer, like it was like a 10-second trailer, and it's called Spider-Man No Way Home. Now we are, both Zach and I are kind of gonna take this and kind of peel it apart a little bit. Do we think the name means something, or do we think it doesn't mean something? For me, I'm gonna go first. No Way Home. I'm thinking because at the end of the last Spider-Man, that obviously with the reveal that Mysterio says that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, the whole No Way Home means that he kind of can't go home. Like he doesn't have a home to go to.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. Or even the idea of like, there's no going back to his life prior to this. Like, there's no way back to the way it was. Like, he's always going to be outed at this point. Life has to change. There's no more school. He obviously can't go to high school anymore. Unless we get like a one more day Mephisto retcon or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But
Civil War, he announces to the world who he is, and you're right.
Right.
Mephisto thing. So maybe it'll happen in the multiverse. So
who knows? But the other things too here are there's so many rumors and myths with this, or myths. Sorry, rumors and like people think, the Tobey Maguire stuff, the Andrew Garfield we've heard about the Jamie Foxx. It wasn't even confirmed that Alfred Molina was going to come back as Doc Ock. Like, so there's all this talk about past Spider-Man multiverse stuff going on. But I was reading an article that said, and obviously this means nothing, but Tom Holland shut down those rumors, But
yeah, that's odd.
They also don't tell that dude shit because he's like a loose lip sink ships with this guy. Like he can't keep his mouth shut. So
yeah, but that's how it could be. Maybe with the multiverse opening and seeing Peter Parker and seeing a Spider-Man which is like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, then people will be like, well, yeah, he's not Spider-Man. Look, Spider-Man's over there saving somebody and whatever the case may be. So that's the way. Maybe that's what it is. No Way Home could be. There's no way home for these other Spider-Men.
Could be. I mean, what are some of the other like rumors we heard that we even heard Reed Richards might show up in this film and be like his new, science guru? Yeah. And was there a Doctor Strange rumor that he might show up?
Yeah, he's supposedly the next mentor to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors out there who's going to be the next mentor for this young Spider-Man. Don't know if it's going to happen, but
Reed Richards would be great, man. I think that's the way to go, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't really make sense to have Doctor Strange, like a magic guy, teaching Spider-Man, that's also kind of one of the things we haven't really seen in any of the Spider-Man movies, like to a large extent, is his like science background. And I think a lot of people forget Amazing Spider-Man #1, he tries to join the Fantastic Four. Like, he does have a very strong connection with the Fantastic Four in like the early days of Spider-Man comics. So I think it would be great to see Reed show up and kind of take him under his wing,
Yeah, absolutely. Moving out of the Marvel and DC TV and movie news, we did have a new upcoming Paramount Plus series, and this is a video game one. So Halo is coming in 2022, originally on the Xbox systems, Xbox 360, Xbox X, all those systems. We're getting a Halo series. So I'm kind of excited to see this because I like the world of Halo. I've played all the Halo games. I'll tell you, if you are going out and they're speccing and looking for, in those long boxes, looking for the first appearance of Halo, there was a Halo graphic novel that came out in 2006 that has 4 or 5 short stories, which has the world of Halo in it, which is the first comic appearance of all the type of characters, the grunts and all the Arbiter, I would say, or his species. But the first appearance of Master Chief is actually in the Halo comic book series from 2000. I want to say it's 2008 or 2007, called Halo Uprising. So
that's Dark Horse, right?
It's actually Marvel.
Is it?
So I thought Marvel had
it was Dark Horse.
Marvel actually had the first solo miniseries. It was a 5-issue, but then they all changed over to Dark Horse. There's Initiation and a bunch of other ones that basically included. But Marvel Comics actually did a 4-issue mini, which is called Halo Uprising. So they actually had it. Don't know how it got back to sent over to Dark Horse, but
Well, it's Brian Michael Bendis also.
yeah, he was the writer on that. So, and Alex Maleev, and he's done some great things. He's done Daredevil and Moon Knight. So some really awesome stuff and tons of covers and tons of variant covers. But I've never read it, but I have read the graphic novel, and it's a smaller version, smaller format, but it does not have Master Chief. First appearance of Master Chief, obviously, is in the Halo Uprising. So be on the lookout for that. Next changing, this just dropped this week. I want to talk about this on the DC TV. We've talked a little bit about Batwoman, or mostly I should say I have, because I'm watching all the CW shows. But Superman and Lois episode 1 came out this week. We're going to kind of talk about that. So we're going to go somewhat I'm going to go spoiler free.
Okay.
So if you guys don't want to listen to this, kind of skip over this section and get into our comic section. But for anybody who is listening, that was your 10 seconds. So you don't have to hear this anymore. But Superman and Lois, you go first, Zach. What do you think? What did you think of the first episode?
So I had actually kind of given up on the CW shows after Crisis, and just kind of stopped watching them. Not because like I was upset or anything. It seemed like a good place to stop, and there was a lot of them, man. To be honest with you, and it's kind of hard keeping up on all those shows. So when this one came out, I was interested. I'm gonna be honest. I watched it today, and I was pretty impressed. Like, it very much was. It did not feel like a CW show. Like, it was a little. I don't want to say adult's not the right word, but it was more. It definitely was very Man of Steel-esque. The Snyder Man of Steel stuff. It was cool. There's a little bit, different story with the twin sons going on there. I did find myself a little confused as to like where this takes place in terms of the Arrowverse, like, because he interacts with Supergirl and Supergirl. That's where we've seen this version of Superman before. And, even Lois showed up in the Crisis crossover as well. It's where we first saw her. And they don't mention, teenage twin sons. And you would think Kara would know that. So I don't know. I'm not sure where it really falls timeline wise, but it was good. I liked it. It was not a superhero show, this first episode. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't I don't want to spoil. There was a big bad kind of, but it wasn't, it was more Superman dealing with like his family and issues with that, which was kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. So I'll take over. Me, I totally agree with you. I actually loved it. I completely loved the episode. It definitely is Man of Steel, Zack Snyder-esque. It's the way it's shot is not like the other shows. It's not funny, haha. It really brings a human side to Superman, and that's the toughest thing to do. And that's why I don't know why people don't like Man of Steel. Zack Snyder took Superman, who's like this god in comics, and made you like him because it basically brought him down to earth. And I really think this show is a huge bringing down to earth, like you said. As far as here's my answer to maybe the reason why in the Arrowverse and the kids. So before Crisis, he and Lois went to some planet so they could have the kid.
Right.
And then, of course, the whole thing with Crisis on Infinite Earth happened, and everybody's brought back into one Earth. So maybe there's a way that they're going to explain that, and maybe they're not going to explain it, that how they had the kids and how now they're older in the same universe. That's just my take on it. But I really love this episode, and it was in the trailer, so this is not a spoiler. But Lois Clark, I should say, Clark says, he's like, "Am I a bad father?" And Lois's reply is, "Your life's falling apart doesn't mean you're special. It just means you're human."
Right.
That quote is just the epitome of the entire episode, because it's really so true. It's really the superhero show that we need right now in this world. It's because it's not like, oh, it's up and away Superman. It's literally Superman dealing with issues going on. Like, this is really not even like a spoiler. He gets fired from his job. So he gets fired from, the Daily Planet, and now he's got the kids to deal with, and they're teenage kids. They're not like they're normal kids. Right. So all these issues are real. And like him going then back to Smallville. So there's all these things that are intricate that are going on that I really think that this show is going to be a lot better than any of the CW shows. Not shitting on them, but because I love DC and I will watch all these shows, but I think this one, being a first episode, is probably my favorite first episode of all the CW shows, even going back, beginning from Arrow, Flash, Legends, you name it.
Yeah, it was definitely good, and I like the castings we have, or like the characters that we got showing up. You know, you got there's a lot of talk about Morgan Edge. We haven't seen him yet, but you know, that's a classic character. I like the interaction with General Lane. I thought that was kind of cool, because what I don't want to see is like the same shit we've always seen in the comics, you know, where it's like they're always butting heads. Like General Lane is kind of like the Thunderbolt Ross of DC, you know what I mean? Where they're always kind of going up against them. In this show, it was more like him and Superman work together, and he's privy to all the information. He knows the secrets, you know, and I kind of like that. I thought that was cool. I like that, you know, the Lana Lang shows up.
Oh, I was just going to talk about that. Emanuela.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh my, Emanuela Chakuri is her name, I believe. I know her first name is Emanuela.
Yeah,
but she's absolutely gorgeous, and I loved her from Don't Mess with the Zohan
or Entourage. She was in Entourage also.
Oh yeah, man. See, like I know her really more from movies like that. She was in Waiting with Ryan Reynolds. So there is a lot of movies that she's in. But yeah, damn, I didn't think about Entourage.
And I'm looking at like an upcoming like guest list. I mean, David Ramsey's supposed to, you know, portray John Diggle in this show as well. So we will get some crossover with Arrowverse, you know. Now, I know we kind of said spoiler free, and I'm going to try to be really careful as I say this. The villain, I guess,
Stranger, we'll call him the Stranger.
The Stranger, like the name drop of it seems weird with like what we've known with like the rest of the Arrowverse stuff. So I don't know how that's going to be explained and whatnot. But yeah, you know, I'm going to keep up with it. I think I'm going to watch it for a little while. Like I said, I was done with the CW shows, but I was pretty impressed with this one. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely was a great first episode. I'm excited to watch it going forward. You know, I sent that in our group chat. I think this is amazing. And I even my brother, I talked to him and I said, he heard great things about it. So he's like, I can't wait to watch it. So, and I'll probably watch it again, you know, now that I recorded it, but I was like, as I was watching it, I recorded it. So I couldn't skip ahead. I had to sit through the commercials. But now that I can, you know, skip ahead in the commercials and really just get to just the meat of the show. And I didn't watch the 30-minute episode, basically special behind the scenes. I actually want to go back and watch that and have all the actors and actresses talk about the show. So
what do you think about, let me ask you something. Do you think his chest, or do they put like shoulder pads in his costume? There's something about his shoulders, and there's something about the anatomy of his upper body that looks weird in the Superman costume. It's almost like they padded up those shoulders, and it I don't know, it looks weird to me.
Oh, you know, I agree. It was the same thing that he looked like in the Supergirl series.
Yeah,
he had that same look where I guess he makes him look scrawny when he's just Clark, but then when he is, you know, Superman, they kind of bulk him out a little bit. Obviously, it's very similar to Shazam with Zachary Levi.
Right.
So I think it is a little bulking up a little bit. I don't know. I haven't seen him with the shirt off. I don't really care to see him with the shirt off, but yeah, I agree with you on that. So
yeah, it was I was like, I don't know about this suit, but and real quick, one last thing on that. How about there was two little Easter eggs that I really enjoyed, which was when he first shows up in Metropolis, with the original suit, the green car. And then did you notice also when he is, I think it's at his house, there's a chalkboard like where they leave notes for each other, and it says like call Schuster and Siegel on the chalkboard.
Oh no, I didn't know.
Which I thought that was pretty cool. I was like,
and I'm sure there's other ones.
Yeah. Those are just the two I caught, obviously.
All right. I'll have to go out. I'll have to go back and check that out. So that's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I need to pick apart about that episode, and I want to go back and watch anyway. So now that you told me that second one that I didn't, that I missed, I'm sure there's tons of little Easter eggs that they've thrown in for, you know, Action Comics and Superman throughout the years. So let's get out of the TV and movie news. Let's kind of go into some of the comic book news that we have this week. So this one straight from Image's website, imagecomics.com. Of course, our main man, Kieran Gillian, great writer and one of my favorite artists, Stephanie Hans, Both Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans, their book Die wins the British Fantasy Award. So this was just published yesterday. Basically, the best-selling series Die from Gillian and Hans was honored this week with the 2020 British Fantasy Award in the Best Comic/Graphic Novel category. The award has been handed out annually by the BFS beginning in 1972. It has, for over the past 5 years, I should say, 4 out of the 5 years, Image Comics has won this award. Previous Image titles, which have won, Monstrous, Volumes 1 and Volume 2, Kelly Sue DeConnick's Bitch Planet, wasn't really a fan of. And the pinnacle of, I would say, the current ongoing series is Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' saga Die. And this really is a sad part for me. This series is entering its final story arc titled Bleed this May with the release of Die 16. So we'll probably only get 5 to maybe, I'd say, let's call it 10 issues if this is the final story arc, because I would say every volume is really like a story arc. So
yeah, probably like 8 issues. 8 issues and like is like the arc. I think I have the 2 graphics also. And I think they each have like 5 or 6 issues in them.
So
I love it, dude. This is like my favorite. This was my favorite title for like since it came out. But there's been I think there's been a lot of delays with this also, and it's kind of like it can be a little confusing of a read also. And with like the gaps and like them putting out the issues, I've kind of been losing the story a little bit. So yeah, I'm bummed to see it ending, but at the same time, I think I've mentioned this before. I like endings. Like I don't like stuff to just keep going, and then just because it's successful. That shit sucks,
A la Walking Dead and Invincible.
Yeah, man.
It was never an ending. It was just kept going. And even Walking Dead really doesn't have an ending. But if this has, we kind of have an idea. If you're out there and you're reading the story, you kind of would think you kind of have an idea of what the ending is going to be. Right. If you don't know about the series, I have always called it as a goth Jumanji.
Yeah,
so it's about a bunch of kids that go into a world that's similar to Jumanji, but instead of like the wildlife,
it's D&D. It's like D&D Jumanji. Yeah.
Yes, they come back out after I think it's 5 years, and then basically after 4 out of the 5 kids come back, and then it's later in their lives, and all of a sudden they find what's known as the die, which obviously is all about dice because it's D&D style. One of the characters was left in the game, and it kind of picks up from there. I'm not really going to go too much into it past that. I've done a review on it once, but this is one of my favorite series. I'm so happy that it's coming back, but also I'm so sad that it's going to be ending with the final arc. But again, like you said, it's great that that it's ending. That's right. What it is.
Wrap it up. You know what I mean? Like have a beginning, middle, end. That's what I like. You want a linear story that actually has like a conclusion. So you can't just keep going and going and going, man.
Definitely. And kind of moving on to our next comic book topic. Do you want to talk about this one, Zach?
Yeah. Which one was this? So we've got another big Marvel event coming up here soon. And this one actually got postponed. Obviously, we all know COVID kind of threw a wrench in a lot of Marvel and comic book in general plans. But this is focusing, which I guess it's kind of interesting. I'm not a big, like I said, I've said it multiple times, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. So Black Cat is not necessarily Black Cat's not necessarily like on my radar of characters, but I found it interesting that Marvel is putting a big focus on Black Cat, and I wonder if that is a hint on anything in the future. But anyway, basically, in a nutshell, Black Cat is going to steal the Infinity Stones, and the event is called Infinite Destinies. And this is actually ties into another topic we had like a couple weeks ago with annuals. This is taking place in annuals throughout the Marvel line, which I can't remember the last time this really happened where they had like a long, like a crossover in annuals, like,
90s. That's as far back I'm going.
Right. I mean, like you're talking like they had the X-Men ones, and then what was the Atlantis Attacks, like was a pretty epic one. But anyway, so the idea also here is you're going to get mainstay characters interacting with kind of like not well-known characters and even some brand new characters. And I'm going to give you a rundown on it where you're going to see this event show up. And I don't know if this is actually in order of reading, like the reading order, but these are the books you're going to see it. So You're going to first see Iron Man Annual #1, and it's guest starring character Quantum. You got Captain America Annual #1, guest starring Overdrive. Thor Annual #1, guest starring the Spirit of Corruption, which I'm really excited about. Spirit of Corruption, do you know who that is?
No.
So they just it's new, and it's not surprising, but it's a Ghost Rider. It's Danny Ketch, the Ghost Rider, the second Ghost Rider, and he just became, instead of Spirit of Vengeance, he became this Spirit of Corruption. So it was a really cool Ghost Rider arc that recently, the most recent Ghost Rider arc that was going on. I loved it, and it was short. I think it was like 7 issues only, but that's kind of where he shows up. So I'm excited for that one. We got Black Cat Annual #2, guest starring White Fox. Avengers Annual #1, guest starring a classified secret unrevealed character yet. So we don't know who that is. Miles Morales Spider-Man Annual #1, guest starring Amulet. Guardians of the Galaxy Annual #1, guest starring Prince of Power, who I believe that's Hercules' new name, I think.
Okay.
I think it's what he's going by now. And then Amazing Spider-Man Annual #2, guest starring Star. So some cool characters, and we haven't seen the Infinity Stones for a while, I think, in the Marvel universe. And man,
I'm
Black Cat's out
surprised.
there just jacking them.
Yeah, like first of all the annuals that you just said, the only guest starring characters I know is White Fox and Star.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't know the
And
rest
Hercules.
of them other than, if that is Hercules, and of course you just spoke about Spirit of Corruption.
Right.
I really don't know the other characters, but like you said, they haven't really done one of these in quite a long time. I didn't even know that this was previously announced last year in March, and then of course it completely went to the wayside because of COVID. But they're bringing it back for this year. I'm semi a fan of Black Cat staring in front of me, which you guys don't see or really can't see anyway, because this is a podcast. But I have my Mark Brooks sideshow piece Black Cat statue with my 9.6 Amazing Spider-Man #194 right above me. So I definitely love Felicia Hardy. She is definitely a great character. I wish they would make her playable in one of these Spider-Man games like they've done with all those Batman Arkham games where you could play additional characters, because I think she's great. Maybe in a future Spider-Man game, or get her own. But yeah, this is really interesting. Infinite Destinies. And I'm not really a big crossover guy. Will I pick up every annual just to read it? Maybe, because she is a thief. She's really cool, and the fact that she's trying to steal the Infinity Gems and get the Infinity Gauntlet, she's just a normal human, man. She doesn't have abilities,
Right?
So this could be interesting.
So there is also a little bonus story that's going on throughout these issues, and it's like maybe if you're older, like Justin and I, Spy versus Spy. Remember the game Spy versus Spy?
Mm-hmm.
So they have a story that's going to be going, and probably at the end, like a little chapter, and it's Super Spy versus Super Spy, and it's a story following Nick Fury as the Agent of Nothing, which I believe this is the original Nick Fury, not to be confused with
the Ultimate.
But there's another Nick Fury, like an African American Nick Fury as well. I think he's like, I can't remember, the son of Nick Fury.
Okay.
Anyway, and Phil Coulson as the Agent of Mephisto. So they'll be facing off against each other and reuniting for the first time since Coulson's death, which, not to be confused with the Avengers movies. But so a little bonus story as well there.
Interesting. And that's going to be, I think, so that's coming out this summer, which is going to be dropping, in the next couple months, which I'm really excited for. So, and Black Cat's just got relaunched for her second ongoing series. Currently, I think it's on issue 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's tied up in King of Black right now. Also, she's been crossing over there.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you read the King of Black Cat or no?
So she's got like a little crew with her. I didn't recognize the characters. Maybe someone who's more familiar with her would. But they, she was, what was she doing? I think in King of Black,
she got that anti symbiote suit.
Yeah, and she was trying to rescue Doctor Strange. She was trying to break him out of the symbiote prison that Null had put him in. That was kind of her mission.
And at the end of the last episode, last issue, she kind of changes. We won't spoil it for people who haven't read it. Really awesome. So I'm excited to read the next issue in the Black Cat series to see where that goes. So
yeah, be cool. I mean, little event, and it's small. I like the Marvel small events, man. We don't need these massive, title spanning. Like King in Black is about middle of the pack, kind of, but
too many tie-ins.
Too many tie-ins, man.
But it's still early, So they haven't done all the solicitation, so we may be getting something,
And
who knows?
They're annuals too. Oh God.
Yeah, so they're a little bit more expensive, but I think it'll be fun at the end of the day. I think it's going to be a good story. So that's our comic book section for this week. Before we wrap up for the evening, of course, we always like to do our "What Are We Currently Reading" series. I think I'll go first tonight.
Yeah.
So this week, there's tons of books that are out. I'm actually going to pick a new series this week. So this one, and because I read it, and I'll kind of give you my little synopsis as always about my stories or books I pick. So this one is from Image Comics. This is called Stray Dogs. Did you read this one?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. So synopsis on imagecomics.com. So it's scary being the new dog. Sophia, who is the dog, can't remember what happened. She doesn't know how she ended up in this house. She doesn't recognize any of the other dogs. She knows something terrible happened, but she just can't recall. Wait, where's her lady? Her lady, of course, would be, I guess, considered the owner. This is a 5-issue miniseries from the Don Bluth style suspense thriller by My Little Pony comic artist Tony Flex and Trish Forstner. Stray Dogs is Lady in the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs. So that's the synopsis.
What?
Yeah. So if you've ever... All right, so I'm a Disney guy, so I know Lady and the Tramp, I know Oliver and Company. So I'm thinking that's what this comic book is going to be. Well, before I even knew that it was like a Silence of the Lambs thing, obviously Lady and the Tramp, Oliver and Company. I'm like, all right, so maybe it's in my head. I'm like, Stray Dogs. It's probably going to be some new talking animals book, like Animosity was. So I open it up and I start reading it, and I'm like, okay, this dog is scared. Again, it gets put in like a home, a normal home. There's all these dogs, and then all of a sudden they finally start talking to each other. Just the dogs. It's typical dogs talking to each other. And then something happens that it's just like I didn't see it coming. I'll just tell you that the twist is just like mind blowing, and I'm just like, okay. And then the rest of the issue rolls out, and then at the end, another kind of twist happens, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? So I recommend this book. There's tons of like variants for this. They've done a lot of like cover swipes to like horror, like obviously Silence of the Lambs. There's like a Blair Witch Project from, and all these other companies are doing these like exclusive variants for this book. But I think you guys should go out and read it. I really wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was for the first issue. I really thought it was going to be trash after the first few pages.
Yeah.
But then it really completely took me for a loop. So I'm happy I read it, and I definitely will stick with this series.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm actually looking at it right now. It looks kind of interesting.
It's definitely.
I was sold when you said Silence of the Lambs meets Lady and the Tramp, because I'm just like, how is that even possible? Like, I gotta know. I gotta know what that is.
I didn't really think about picking it up, and then I saw it, and I was just I flipped it, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, again, let me try this. I like the Disney stuff. The variant cover is the regular cover B from Image is Silence of the Lambs. But there are other variant covers for this. I mean, the book itself is blowing up because of how great it is. But there's, like I said, there's a Blair Witch cover swipe that some store did. I'm looking at prices on eBay. People are selling the Silence of the Lamb cover for like $15, and cover A is like a $25 book now.
Yeah, so $30 for the Blair Witch one right now.
Well, yeah, because that's an exclusive to a store. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, if you're listening to this early enough and your store still has this book, go out and pick it up, because it's definitely a good little read for an Image book. I definitely think it's under ordered, because who's ordering a book about dogs? So that's my pick of the week.
That's a good one. I'm glad you told them. Now I'm gonna read this for sure.
All right. So what do you got this week, Zach?
So I can only preface this by saying that my week was a little thrown off. Obviously, most people are familiar with the weather. It's been kind of garbage down here in Texas, not so much in the El Paso area where I'm at, but in like the main chunk of Texas. So it's really affected the past couple of weeks, like delivery of books and stuff. So I still haven't even got my Marvel books. I was reading some of them online today. So they're not in. So, but I kind of had a light week this week anyway of stuff I was picking up. I saw the end of Batman Superman for Future State, Dark Detective for Future State, which I'm gonna be honest, man, I'm glad Future State's done. I kind of think that was garbage overall. But my pick this week is, like I said, there was nothing that really, really stood out. So I'm going to go back to my mainstay always, which is X-Men. And I'm going to talk about X-Men number 18. And one of the main reasons I want to talk about it is because I actually did my first Mutant Monday was on this topic. So we kind of get the story goes back to the return of X-23, Sync, and Darwin, who have been gone for quite a few issues now, about 10 issues or so. And they're finally coming back out of the vault where the children of the vault are in this like little mission that they were on. Now, I really like Sync. I know you're not like an X-Men guy, but if people remember back in like, I think it was the 90s, Generation X came out, and it was like it took over New Mutants. It was like the new class. You had Jubilee, Chamber, Husk, Skin, and you had Sync. And Sync at the time was kind of one of these, almost an OP type character because he has the power to like have everyone's power, which is the ideal power, right? Like if you can have a power, that's the one you want. So they killed him pretty early in Generation X. And I always liked that character. I really enjoyed him. So him being back has been really cool. And it's told from like his perspective because, you know, go back and listen to Mutant Monday and I'll go in more in depth about like their different roles. But he's kind of a redundancy for this little mission where Darwin is like the taking all the information in. X-23 is kind of the muscle, and he's there to do both those things because he can take both their powers. So it's really cool. He's kind of giving a play-by-play on what's going on with the children of the vault. And not a lot happened in the issue, but I'm excited for what's going to end up coming. Because I feel like this is a big storyline going forward because they've been really setting this up. So I think it's going to have large implications for the X-Men. So that's my pick, X-Men number 18 this week. So
that's awesome because that's something that you like you said, you talked about on Mutant Monday. So if anybody's listening to this episode, go back and listen to Zach's Mutant Monday regarding the Children of the Vault and those characters. So if you read this issue, you'll know exactly kind of what Zach's talking about. So
yeah, for sure.
That's really awesome. And you know, before we kind of round out, today is again February 25th. You know, we're not a video game podcast, but I do want to shout out. So today on the PlayStation State of Play, they did announce a bunch of games for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. They did announce a whole bunch of stuff for Final Fantasy. So I'm sure our friends over at the We Podcast and We Know Things are going to be talking about this. So if you guys like this podcast and want to know about video games, head over to the We Podcast and We Know Things on Spotify. Those guys talk tons of stuff, comics, movies, and video games. I'll be listening to them today when they drop their newest episode on Friday, February 26th. That's really all I have. Again, thank you guys so much for the support through the Comic-Con podcast. Again, if you guys want to send us messages, you can always send it to the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at the Comic-Con podcast. And that's all I got for this week. It's been a really fun episode. It was a little bit longer because we spent a lot of time talking about everything because there was a lot of news this week, which is always fun. Another great hour of comic book talk with my man, Zach. Zach, it's been a pleasure this week. What do you got for this ending credits?
Same thing. Just I'd like to emphasize what you just said as well about sending the voice memos, man. Like we really enjoy those. We haven't had any for a couple weeks now. Yeah, send them in. Make them funny. Make them serious. we like them. You know, it gives us an opportunity to kind of play off things. So, yeah, if you're listening, please do so.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much, Zach. It's always a great time talking with you. And if you guys, know anything out there, you want to read some new books, like Zach said, read that X-Men, check out Stray Dogs if you can find it early enough because you're going to be spending more money. It's going to be like triple cover price on eBay. And that's it for this week on the Comic-Con podcast. I am Justin and Zach. We are out of here.
Later.